Okay, so tonight we're joined by Noah Ames. Noah is currently the operations manager of the Runway Recovery. Noah struggled with substance use, and like many, his relationships also suffered, along with other aspects of his life. And so we're excited to hear his story of change and of hope. And with that, Noah, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Terry. Yeah, my name is Noah. I have a sobriety date of April 20th, 2021. And for that, I'm so grateful. I want to talk about what it was like during the holidays, in my addiction, and what it's like today, with that new attitude and outlook on life, what it's like during the holidays. And to give you context into the holidays now, I want to just briefly go over my story. So I was born and raised on the Big Island of Hawaii, in a little town called Lapuehoi. We had about 2,000 people that lived there, and my closest neighbor was about a half mile away. I was in a K through 12 school of about 250, 300 kids, so just really small, rural. And my dad was in spectoral building, so building houses to sell. During that time, around 2008, where the housing market collapsed, he had to liquidate the homes that he was going to sell, and we moved to Oahu. So I went from a town of 2,000 people to a city of 1.2 million, densely populated island, and my whole life changed. I was put into a school, sixth through eighth grade, of about 1,100 kids. So just a big change of rural to just city life. And I did not transition well. I did not. I naturally chameleoned my way into the easiest group possible. And for me, that was, punk skater kids that wanted to ditch school, use, drink, be disrespectful. And, that was the start of my life just spiraling, spiraling down. Into, middle school, it was all right. And then into ninth grade, I was kicked out of my high school for getting into an altercation with a teacher that was not good. And my dad thought the best option was he needs to get to work, right? I then started working for him. He, at the time, then owned a construction company, and I was put into an online charter school. It's called Hawaii Technology Academy, where I was able to go at my own pace, the curriculum, and go into school on Fridays to meet with my teacher. So as long as my grades were up to par, I could work for the majority of the week and then go to school on Fridays. And in construction, the trade is naturally like people drink, people use, and that definitely didn't help my situation at all. Um, Fast forward to graduating high school, I'm drinking in the morning all the way through, using benzos, other substances, and it was just all bad. I moved in with this girl that I only knew for about 2 or 3 months. She then moved back to Arizona, and it broke my heart, and the spiral continued. In that, since I worked for my dad, I didn't necessarily have, like, I had a boss, but I completely used that to my advantage, right? In a lot of ways, he completely enabled my addiction at the time. I would, my cycle was, I would be solid for a month or so and then fall off for a couple days. And then I would put good work in for a month or two and then I would disappear for a week. That was my cycle with no repercussion. Any other job, any other occupation, without that connection, I would have been fired the first time that happened. Employers wouldn't put up with that. So fast forward to one day, it was one of my sprees, and about a week into it, he pulled up to my car in some parking lot that I've been living out of for a week, and he said, Noah, you're fired, and the only thing that I'm going to support moving forward is treatment if you want it. You know. And about 2 days later, I was in California. Um, I went to a program in Costa Mesa. It's called Treehouse Recovery, and I I've been sober ever since. I started working for Treehouse Recovery and as well as Runway. And today, my life looks entirely different. My life is, how do I want to say it? Whenever I go back home, I feel like I'm trying to fit sobriety into my life. But now I've built sobriety, like I built my life around sobriety rather than trying to just fit it in, which is what the biggest part of me staying sober to this day is. So going through the holidays now, how it once was is during Christmas, I was just a blank, non existent person. There was no presence. Like my mom now says, when I used to look at you, there was truly nothing there. Like she was looking at me in the eyes and she was receiving nothing in return. And during Christmas time, it was normally about like, what am I gonna get? What am I going to receive from you? Because I'm just selfish and self-centered to my core. Um, Life looks a lot differently today, so much differently. Um, I take it's super cool on the fact of giving, during the holidays. My sister now knows that she's able to weasel things out of her brother. So this year, about a week before Christmas, it was no, I want this Dyson hair dryer, right? And I look up the hair dryer and it's $500, and of course I'm like, I'm not getting you that thing, and I just instantly Amazon it to her house, and she gets it before Christmas. But that's the type of brother, that's the type of son I can be today. I can be present. When my mom looks at me, she gets something back, right? And the way I look at it now, right, during the holidays and during the new year, I usually make a trip back home. And I really try to take the approach of how many times am I going to see, my grandpa again, my parents again, even, because I'm living in California, they're in Hawaii. If I'm being truly honest with myself, I'm going to see them 100 more times in my life. My grandfather much less. Maybe I might see him 20 more times with how old he is. So I got to make those times count, right? Which is calling my mom, calling my grandpa, calling my dad, calling my sister, and asking them where they're at in their life. What's going on. um, so many times I heard right before we started, no more dings in the middle of the night, right? I was the ding in the middle of the night. And truly today, excuse me, I can call my mom and her first reaction isn't what the F, right? Isn't what's going on? Where have you been? Noah, it's been weeks. Where have you been? We've been worried sick. Like truly today, I call my mom and she knows I'm calling her to ask her how she's doing, to see where her and dad are at. Are you going to come out and visit? When's the next time that's good for me to come home so I can have like adequate amount of time with you? I don't want to just go there and not see my family. I have to make that worth it today. And I'm so blessed that I can look at life through those eyes now. Truly, not long ago, that wouldn't have been a near thought of mine of what can I do for them. It was all what can you do for me, truly. And that's my life sober today. Um, Coming into the new year, a new attitude and outlook on that, right? For so many years, the new year was a big party, big party. End of the year, let's get messed up, let's drink, let's all the crazy things, right? Now I can look back on my year, see where I have been wrong, where I've been right, and where I want to progress in the new year. And I want to emphasize just the presence. I am present today for my family, for my loved ones around me, and that was something I was not in my addiction at all. And I want to keep it short. I don't want to go all too long. I feel like that is that's kind of all I prepared. If that's okay with you guys.
No, that is perfectly fine, Noah, and thank you for sharing that. And it's amazing to me. First of all, I want to say, Noah, I want a Peloton for New Year's. Okay, I'll give you my
Oh, that's
address and you can have it shipped here. Okay,
fine. Yeah, right.
so it'll
It
be here
was
tomorrow.
it was quite funny because I my instant reaction, right, is like, I'm not getting you the Dyson dryer. And the things, I watch a couple videos about it, and every girl wants it, right? It's just like I just shipped it right to her house real quick.
Oh, oh goodness. Okay, so we do have some questions for you. Let's see here. Okay, Kim said, "Way to go, Noah!" As far as your recovery, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And Sharon wants to know, can I ask if the first holiday season was really difficult for you?
Yeah. So my first holiday season, when I first got out here, I didn't go home for the holidays. I think the biggest part with me this time around, I've kind of tried to get sober before, but never like this. This time around, I needed to kind of distance myself from home. I had been living in a place where it was a fairly small island, and if I turn my head and I know where that guy is, I know where to pick up there, I know my spots to drink, and I truly needed to step back home on the right footing. So the first holiday season, I didn't go home. That's what my holiday season looked like. My community here in California was what I did through the holidays. And it was tough being away from family. But if I was truly being honest with myself, and I was at the time, was I present there through previous holidays? You know, I really felt like I wasn't. Um, and I felt at the time that it would be hard to be away, but that was what it was for the best. Because when I do want to come back, when I want to be back in with the family for the holidays, I want them to want my presence, not be on eggshells around me, know that this is a different Noah. And that was my relationship with the holidays the first time around. I had to stay with my community here.
Gotcha. Okay, and Tammy said just to tell you thank you. And Cami said, "What an amazing story of recovery, and so happy for you and your family." And Sunny said, "Very inspiring." It absolutely is. And Maria asks, "What was the wake up call for you? Was it getting fired from your dad, or was it something else?"
Yeah, that was what got me willing, for treatment. I knew that I didn't drink and use like others. You get subtle hints throughout the years as you slowly lose friends. Via them ultimately losing their life because of their addiction, or getting sober themselves. So eventually there, I didn't have many friends left. All of my friends were in addiction themselves, or they were no longer with us. That was a big wake up call for me, was the loss of friends, and knowing that I was right there with them. A lot of them I used much more than they did. I do not know why I'm here and they are not. But my dad firing me was definitely the financial straw, right? Because there was no longer that ultimate backing of I can mess up and still be financially sound, right? The money was never an issue, and that was where the enablement came from, of I can do this and there will be no repercussions. So that was a big wake up call. Yeah, definitely.
And this one kind of tags along with that. Tammy asked, "Can I ask what your reaction was to your dad's firing? Were you angry?"
At the time, you get into these depressive lulls, and I was in one at the time, and I knew you don't go on a 7-day run of just pure using and drinking, and without the pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization, right? That the big book of Alcoholic Anonymous talks about. It talks about this demoralizing state that we always find ourselves in. And in that state, I purely took him firing me as that. I don't know. You could almost call it a God shot. Like, I reached out and I took that opportunity, you know, and
Mm.
it was, yeah, I think it was the best thing that could have happened.
Absolutely. Okay, and Sue says, I'm speechless. You're amazing and your story brings such hope. You seem to have such a strong hold on recovery. At what point did that take hold?
That's so good. That's so good. So it was the moment that I realized that the program that I went through in Costa Mesa, Treehouse Recovery, it is a 3 to 5 month intensive outpatient, 5 days a week. Excuse me, my throat. Well, um, the moment that I realized that that program wouldn't keep me sober, I saw a bunch of people come through and a bunch of people come back because those type of programs can get you sober and provide the right foundation, right? They are absolutely essential. Absolutely essential. I still work for both of them. But you need to build that community. You need to build that fellowship. A fellowship for me, and this is just my experience, is Alcoholics Anonymous. You can go anywhere in this world and find yourself an AA meeting and find yourself around people that will identify with you with what you are truly going through. Anywhere in this world. I go back home, I can find AA meetings. I go to Pennsylvania, I can find AA meetings. I go out of the country, you can go to Japan, you can find AA meetings. That was the community that I built, and it took a little while for me to come around to the idea that I needed that. Like that was just as crucial as this intensive program that I was going through. But I came to that realization with seeing people go out after having those 4 months, after having a year after the program, they would go back to their addiction. And the most common trait that I saw was them not working a 12-step program. Some sort of 12-step program mixed in with community, mixed in with, physical movement. That's another big part of it, is where I found my recovery.
Okay, and this probably ties in with that, but you said 3 to 5 months, and that was Tammy's question. How long was the program that you did? So it was
Mhm.
3 to 5 months.
And you want to get yourself to the point of complete abstinence, right? So like they say that the body can get away to abstinence of the drink or drug in about a month. That's the physical dependency. But um, the damage we've done on our brains, they say for like heavy use can be up to 2 years. And your pause symptoms, the post-acute withdrawal syndrome symptoms can last months and months and months. So you need ample time to allow your brain to heal, very much so.
Okay. And Arlene says, thank you for sharing your story of hope for those of us who are still in the trenches. It is so good to hear your success story and it gives her hope. And then Kim says, you are so well spoken, Noah. Thank you for your insight into how our kids feel. And I had, let's see, we do have one more. Oh, so Sharon said, when you said you were a punk skater, were you or are you a skateboarder? And also, do you know of a recovery center in California started by a skateboarder?
I don't know a recovery center started by a skateboarder. I just skated growing up. In Hawaii, like there's a lot of surfing, a lot of skating. I grew up my whole life surfing and skating. If you know anything about like the skating culture, it's kind of punk based. It's very much break the law. I don't know how to describe it any other than that. But I wasn't a professional skateboarder or anything. I do skate a lot. But yeah, if that answers it.
Okay.
I don't know the recovery center started by a skateboarder. If that was a question that you do, or
I guess, yeah. Um, so here's one. Noah, do you believe in Suboxone to helping addicts in recovery?
yes. I work for a place, the Runway Recovery. We use MAP medication, medically assisted treatment, right, in helping people get abstinent from their drug of choice. And it is completely a case by case basis. The client needs to be educated on what MAP medication is and using, whether it's Suboxone, whether it's buprenorphine, whatever the generic versus brand names of it are, they need to be educated in what that looks like, how long their duration of it that they will be on, because I've experienced clients that when they're around their 5th to 7th day in detox, they have left centers so much that that is just their natural instinct, right? That's when the flight kicks in. And their cravings are so high because around the 5th to 7th day, they know that their body knows that, oh, the use is coming soon. The use is coming soon. This is when we usually leave, right? And from my experience, the medications like that in a detox setting and in early sobriety very much helps with the cravings, right? And that's what people are a lot of the time struggling with, that I see that need the MAP medication. It makes it easier for them. And ideally, they would get off of it within a 6 month period. But I've seen cases that are appropriate for it to be longer. I'm a complete supporter in the right application of Suboxone and MAP medication, 100%.
Okay. And do you feel that it's on a case by case basis as far as how long they continue to take it?
Of course, and this is also with a program that is MAT certified, right? And you
Hmm.
have counselors there that have dealt with my program director has dealt with hundreds of different cases of using MAT medication to get clients abstinent and away from their drug of choice, and it is completely a case by case basis. No one is ever the same, but there are similarities, and they will, your right counselor that is experienced in it will have, this is what we do. They are the professionals in it.
Right. And the same holds true for whichever MAT treatment that you choose to follow, right?
Hmm.
Whether
Yeah.
it's the shots or
Yeah, so,
Suboxone or whatever.
Sublocade, I see the other question, right about Sublocade is like with the Sublocade, you do have to follow the shot protocol correctly, right? So with these Sublocade shots, if the client, like some of the times the client goes out and relapses, like there's so many different factors that goes on, but if the Sublocade shot is followed correctly and they do it for the intended duration, kind of expressed by the doctor and their counselors, and it is followed through all the way, the Sublocade shots works great.
Okay. Okay. And Maria also commented that her son was one that was addicted to Suboxone from the streets, and now
Mm.
he's still prescribed it.
Yeah, so addicted to Suboxone from the streets is so different, right? Because whatever your protocol is, whether it's 2 times a day a certain milligram, 3 times a day a certain milligram, once a day a certain milligram, there's a protocol in which to do it. If you're getting it off to the street, I highly doubt that he was using it as doctor ordered, right? So yeah, the Suboxone addiction, people that come in that are on a high dose of it can be really scary. But that's just like any other drugs that we abused in the past, alcohol,
Mhm.
whatever form it takes. I don't really necessarily, yeah, take so
No,
many different
gotcha.
forms. Hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Well, that kind of rounds out our questions, Noah, and we just want to thank you again for giving us your time and sharing everything that you were able to, especially the hope that you gave us all. So we appreciate you giving us your time tonight, and we
I,
just want to
I
thank you for being here.
thank you so much. I greatly appreciate all of you. This whole community is, so crucial. My mom, struggled with it for years of how to deal with it, and a few years later, things are not perfect, right? We all have things to work on, but it is 100 times better, and this community is, a godsend. So thank you all.
Well, thank you, Noah. We appreciate you.
All right.